Hello, so this is tech demo number 1, and for this case study I decided to use the website called Lab, this one. So the main goal is to find a more effective technology rather than the exit slip format to help learn students' understanding about synonyms, antonyms, and homographs, or word comparison in this case. So the main purpose of the exit slips are to help finalize plans for next day lessons, so that is deciding whether more or less time should be spent on a certain subject with the student. 2, track individual/whole class growth, and then 3, just provide feedback to your students based on their understanding of the lesson. So some of the challenges being faced with the exit slips are that students are vague with their response and they write too little on them. 2, Mrs. Smith finds it hard to see the bigger picture with her classroom of 20 students. With that being said, I think the amount of exit slips obviously can be overwhelming. 3, difficulty maintaining organization and tracking trends or patterns. And then again, overwhelming amount of exit slips. It's going to probably be hard to keep track of all the slips of paper and note which areas are needed more help with. And then 4, overall student feedback is poor due to the list above. So then, how can WooClap help these challenges? So first off, students will most likely find it enjoyable to interact with the website rather than have to write on paper. I feel like now with such a more greater use of technology, students are way more developed with technology, so I feel like they would much rather like working with something like a website like this. 2, Mrs. Smith will be able to see your students' progress through an organized system through the WooClap app. Number 3, no clutter from exit slips will be produced. I think that's like one of the biggest good parts about WooClap is that everything is online, so it's all formatted and you can see the results anytime, anywhere. And then 4, students won't feel as nervous providing feedback virtually rather than having to turn it in. A lot of the stuff on WooClap is anonymous. It can or cannot be anonymous. It's an optional thing, but I feel like students will find it more better if they don't have to provide their name. So some of WooClap's features is that it's free of charge, however, upgrades are available. It allows for copy and paste to links, so it's easy to access the website. It's available on laptops as well as smartphone devices. So there are 7 formats available. So the WooClap app is based around this idea where you can format questions into different sections, which I will talk about later. And then you could also add your presentations in the which I will show later too. And then private messages can be sent between students and teachers. I know that was one of the main goals of the case study, was to provide one-on-one feedback with students, so that's a great one. So getting started. So to create an account, it's really easy. All you do is go to link, and then as soon as you hit the sign up button, it will prompt you to enter an email, enter a password, and as long as it fits into those categories, then you are able to make an account. And then the very first screen that you see as soon as you create an account will be this page right down here, and it just says welcome to WooClap. You could create an event, which that just basically means you can create questions for your students to answer. Show that. So some of the useful features of the Wheat website is that it comes in 7 different formats, which I mentioned earlier. So right here to the right are the 7 different formats available. So basically you just come up with questions and you can do 2 questions per event. So those questions can either be written out in multiple choice, polls, word clouds, open questions, rating, fill the blanks, slides. But however, for this case study, I found that open questions, rate, and multiple choice would work best for the goals in the classroom. So then later on, I will show you how I utilized the multiple choice, poll, and rating and incorporated it into a lesson and how it's useful for students. So getting started now, I did mention earlier that you are allowed to open up your presentation in the Bootclap website. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So all I did was log in to my Bootclap login class. And then here are my events. I'm just going to click on the during lesson event. And then I just added my presentation. So you can go ahead and start that. So now I'm going to give a little bit of an example of what it would be like if this on your students. So today we are learning about synonyms. So what are synonyms? Synonyms are words that are closely similar to one another. Some examples include small and petite, infant and baby. So now that you have learned a little bit about synonyms, put that knowledge to the test. So here is the code, and typically students would either log into the code, or they could just click on the website and it would direct them straight to there. And then also as a side note, messages will be open in case there is a certain question. So starting off now, I have split my screen into both the student and the teacher viewpoint. So from the teacher's point of view, if you go ahead and you click here, out of 2, it pops up your questions, because like I said, you could have 2 questions per event. So you just go ahead and click on that question. So then from the student's point of view, the question pops up. So what is a synonym of laugh? And I went ahead and I chose giggle. And then as a teacher, you would go ahead and click the green arrow, blue arrow, check mark. And then it would notify the students that they got it correct. And then as a teacher, you would be notified what % of the class got it right, and then what % of the class got it wrong. So that's really helpful. You could always go back to these results as long as you don't delete your event. So that's really useful. So then here I have an example of what it would be like once the lesson has been taught. So here it says, answer the poll before you head out or once you're out of the classroom. So anonymous open questions about the lesson that the teacher can get a better understanding of where everyone is because it is anonymous. I would recommend writing your name as an option. It could be an option if you want the teacher to know if you're struggling or not. So I'm going to go ahead and do the polls. So then I just hit on the after lesson exit slip as a teacher. And then as soon as you want to start up the questions, you would go ahead and click on the start button. And then these questions are open for as long as you want them to. You're the proctor, so you're able to open them or close them at whatever time you want. So then the first example is a rating scale. So you're able to rate how confident you are when you did the work, how good you understand it, and you'll be able to get a feel for students individually as well as a whole class based on this information. So then again, the students format just look like this. They would be able to rate their understanding, and you would get the feedback on this page right here. And then I do have 2 questions, and the next question would be any comments, questions, concern about the lesson. And then again, it will be anonymous unless you name it. So students will be able to type out any question they have. For example, I don't understand. And then you could just write your name. You could submit that. And then as soon as you submit that, the teacher would be able to get a notification that, okay, this person doesn't understand, and it would all be private through this. So then again, so the student's point of view, it's pretty easy for students to navigate this feature. As long as the links are provided, students are able to easily access the website and the questions. So overall, it's pretty easy for. So then, goals and challenges. How does WooClap help achieve these goals? The teacher will be able to get a sense for students' teaching needs through the questions. Events are never deleted. All information is kept safe, so she doesn't have to worry about exit slips flying around or anything. And then based on the answers given, she can give help to those students who need it. And then how does WooClap help those challenges? Students will have the option to write answers, or students will be able to have questions already written for them, and therefore they have to answer even if they don't want to. Overall, results are organized and there is no extra clutter through this website. So then, in conclusion, overall, WooClap is a great way to keep track of what information students took from the lesson and a great way for them to interact with technology. There's a lot of good features to WooClap as well. Overall progress will be noted. WooClap will provide you with fast results. And then overall, WooClap gives a different variety other than paper and pencil for students to keep track, for teachers to keep track of what students need help with in everyday lessons. And that's it.